Hi, everyone. Life Coach Carissa here. How are you all feeling today? I often talk about how we are all living this 50-50 life we have been given. So it's very likely that every single day we will be exposed to 50% of our day going well and the other half not going the way we would like it to. Sometimes these could be small annoyances, and then other times it could really be something substantial that throws you off balance. I don't believe for a second that anyone is immune from this. How often do we assume that celebrities and those living a famous life seemingly must only have great days? I know I used to. Well, time after time, we learn that we are all the same. We all have stuff that throws us off balance. And if it hasn't happened yet, it may be in your future. I know that isn't fun to hear, but it is a reality. This is why I'm back with you today to talk about coping when life throws you a curveball. So, curveballs, what is that? Well, it's anything unexpected, surprising, or disruptive. Whatever curveballs you run into can vary in intensity and frequency, but they are all part of the complex journey of life. So, where do you start with these curveballs? Well, first of all, we need to feel it. As soon as a circumstance happens, we are going to have all these thoughts swirling around in our heads, and those are going to prompt a windfall of feelings. And what happens to many of us is that we are not skilled in feeling our feelings. In fact, life would have us believe that we can't even handle the slightest bit of discomfort. It's simply not true. Either we just haven't learned this information, or we haven't been in the position to practice it to a level of confidence and comfort. So we tend to be wired to want to escape our feelings or somehow make them better, which is usually when we'll turn to a concept I teach called buffers, right? We buffer our life because of how we're feeling. So we want to get better at feeling our feelings, right? Because look, the reality is none of us want anything to happen in our life that throws us off. However, as I said, it's most likely going to happen to you at some point. So would you rather have a set of tools to kind of dig into and go grab to support you? Or would you rather feel that helpless and hopeless feeling and just respond and react from this emotionally driven, unmanaged place? I know that we would all want the prior, right? So I will never tell you that, hey, you just need these tools and it's such a painless process. That would never be my mission because it's simply not true. Rather, I want to show you how you are actually meant to feel the pain and the discomfort and move through that and process these situations in a healthy, more natural way that we were actually designed for. We just aren't good at practicing that because everything in our world tells us to avoid pain, pursue pleasure. So, first of all, I want you to know if you are going through some curveballs right now, I have been there. I speak from experience. When I was thinking about this, as I was writing my notes for this video, I actually have the benefit of being able to look back at how I handled curveballs in my former life. I call it the original version of Carissa as compared to the new and improved Carissa 2.0 that I am now. And I don't mean to say that in any sort of a bragging way. I say it because of the long journey that I have been on and the immense amount of work that went into me being able to change my unhealthy ways. So I want to share my story with you. It feels vulnerable to do this, and I do it little by little, but I think it's so important to me that I let you know that I truly do understand the difficulties life can throw at you. So much at times that you might think you're being tested and you can't possibly handle much more. I know I felt that way. I used to not be able to handle the slightest interruption to my plan. I can remember cursing out loud at the office in my 20s when I was told an employee was going to be leaving our company because all I could think about was how my life was now going to be disrupted. My plans, my family vacations. Those of you who work in a small family business or even a small organization that wear multiple hats, I'm sure you'd understand this. And another time was when our daughter was 5 and we found out that she had actually been blind in her left eye from birth and we didn't even know it. And that prompted all sorts of thoughts and feelings that didn't feel so well as we began to walk that journey together of what that was going to look like. And then I had this season in my life that was just awful. I had this span of about 4 years that at times I felt like I was being punished. I did have that thought. Losing my mother-in-law to a second bout of cancer, my father-in-law suffering a stroke, to traveling to see my parents in another state not long after that, and realizing I need to bring my 73-year-old mother back to Ohio in order to remove her from a 53-year toxic marriage with my father, who was in denial and struggled with his own mental health issues, moving into our home, helping her navigate a divorce, and reestablishing herself. A short while later, we had to put a 16-week-old puppy to sleep due to unknown health issues that were present when we got her. Following that, our son would have a serious health crisis of wanting to end his own life. And I would come to learn ultimately how I played a big part in his challenges, though I couldn't really see it at the time. My father-in-law's health continued to decline until he passed during the year of COVID. All in that span of 4 years, and I can tell you, I did not know how to cope. So my coping methods were unhealthy. I buffered. I overworked. I overdrank. I overate. And I tried to become controlling of everyone and everything. If I can just control it, I can get some sense of control back over my life. It took a serious toll on my mental and physical health. And that showed up in the way of illness, terrible looking blood work results, a decline in my mental health, leading me to struggle with depression. And that impacted my everyday life in so many ways. I cannot express the importance enough. You must continue learning, even when life is difficult, adding new skills and growth to your emotional toolbox. We were not meant to stay this way all the time, right? We're not meant to be like, well, this is the way I am, and I know what I know, and this is what I am. We're meant to grow and evolve in so many ways. We can be the catalyst for someone else making a positive change in their life. We need to do it for ourselves and all of those around us that we love and care about. Learning how to cope effectively is crucial in navigating life's challenges. It really does help us maintain our emotional well-being and resilience. So where do we even start with these curveballs life gives us? We first need to keep our perspective on what is actually happening. One of the concepts I teach is story versus fact. Your primitive brain feels it necessary to run with a doom and gloom story as a way to protect you. So ask yourself the question, what are the facts of what is happening here? Is my child sick for one day from school with a routine illness? Am I or someone I care about receiving a serious long-term medical diagnosis? Did I have a minor fender bender in the parking lot? Was I part of a serious multi-car pileup on the highway? Was I let go from a job? What feels like a huge curveball to one person may not be to another. That doesn't matter so much as you being honest with yourself about what this curveball actually is. What are the facts of it? Do you consider it minor? Okay, why? Do you consider it major? Okay, why? We've got to look at this, right? We have to get clear on what the facts are, not the story that our brain is beginning to create as a way to protect us and keep us safe from danger. So get very clear on the facts of what has actually happened, what is in the process of happening, or what are you thinking about that hasn't even happened yet? Be honest with yourself. Then I would offer you a few tips for coping with any sort of curveball, big or small, right? Number one, acknowledge your feelings. I talked about this. Allow yourself to feel whatever emotions come up without judgment. Recognize that it's normal to feel upset or frustrated when things don't go as planned. This step is so crucial and sets up the path forward. So take the time needed to feel what you are feeling and get curious about it to understand it better. Most of us don't go very deeply with this step, and so we're in resistance, and it creates a lot of added pain and suffering for ourselves. And also will take that toll on your health. So get curious, feel your feelings, all right? Number 2 is to practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself during difficult times. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend in a similar situation. I guarantee that inner voice would not sound like that to a friend of yours, right? So be mindful of that. Number 3, seek support. Reach out to friends, family, or a trusted professional for support and guidance. Talking about your feelings and what has happened can help you gain perspective and feel less alone. When you are under unmanaged stress, your brain is not functioning with the best clarity. So, getting perspective from someone else can be so powerful in your ability to remain grounded. Number 4, focus on what you can control. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, focus on what you can do to improve this situation or what you're going to need to do going forward. Break down that problem into manageable steps and take action where you can when you can. Be patient and watch the brain wanting to fix it all right now. And maybe that's not the path that you're meant to be on, right? It's going to take however long it needs to take. Can you be patient while that happens? And lastly, number 5, find healthy outlets. Engage in activities that help you relax and recharge, such as exercise, meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, prayer. Taking care of your physical and emotional well-being is so essential during challenging times. But what is the first thing that we tend to throw out the window when stuff is hitting the fan? We throw out all of that stuff that will take care of us. We have to remember that that is just as important as all the other steps. So remember, coping is a skill that can be learned and strengthened over time. By practicing strategies like these, even on the small things to start, you can build this resilience up and navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease, even when the curveball that comes to you is on a much larger scale. There is light in all of this. I am proof of the possibility because I'll share one final example that really illustrates how changing my mindset and following tips like these that I just shared made such a huge impact on my life. Little did I know that another curveball would come a couple years after that difficult season in my life that I talked about. But it would really allow me to see firsthand how all these new coping techniques that I learned supported me when I needed them the most. This next curveball came when I found out about my father, whom I had not had a quality relationship with for over 5 years. He passed away alone in his home and wasn't found for 11 days. Well, being states away, I had no idea what I was embarking on. It ended up being a 6-month-long ordeal just to get the residents back in the estate back in order because of that unfortunate situation with his passing. And this would end up resulting in 6 trips in 6 months. My brother and I were doing it together. However, there was so much mental and physical and emotional stress present. I could feel it, right? I could feel it being so overwhelming at times. A couple times, in fact, I ended up getting sick in the midst of it all, right? I could really tell it was taking a toll. But what was also amazing and beautiful amidst all the ugliness of what was going on was that I actually had moments where I recognized how I was able to pause and reflect numerous times throughout the days and months after his passing. And I remember saying, thank you. Thank you for doing this work, Carisa. This situation is not taking away all of your sense of control. It is not removing all of your abilities to self-regulate and cope in healthier ways. You aren't throwing out everything good for you while you deal with this. You are giving yourself some much needed grace and compassion, but at the same time, always feeling a sense of grounding in reality that I was in. I remember saying that. I remember telling friends and acquaintances about that. I'm so grateful for the work that I did. It has prepared me for this moment. That was when I realized how knowing these tools and putting them into practice makes them available to you whenever you need them the most. So let this message sink in. Make a mental note of the tips I've shared with you today. I don't want you to have to need it, but reality tells us that we probably will need this at some point in our lives. So let's take responsibility for how we're coping with life's curveballs. They're going to come. I know you can do this and make positive changes in your life, just like I did. All right. I want to thank you for tuning in. My thoughts and prayers are with you for whatever curveballs you're experiencing at the moment. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, maybe subscribe to my channel so you get future content. Your feedback is so incredibly important to me, so take a moment. Let me know how my videos are making a difference in your life and what topics you would like for me to explore in future videos. I would love to hear from you on that, and I will absolutely work that into my future content for these videos. And lastly, if you're curious about my work, visit my website at lifecoachingwithcarissa.com. You'll find actually available times there for a complimentary session where we can address any fears or apprehensions you may have about working with me as your coach. All right, everyone, have a great day, and I will see you in a couple of weeks.